What's going on, everyone? It's Jacko here from Nothing But Tech. Hope you guys are all doing well. Welcome back to another video. This is the third video that I'm recording today, so I'm not wearing the same shirt on 3 days. Same shirt, but I just recorded the other two videos, so don't worry. But in this video, we're talking about the OnePlus 6T, my review on it. If I think it's a good device, what it's been like living with it, using it. So I'm excited to share my thoughts on it. A little spoiler is, this is a pretty incredible phone for the price, and a pretty incredible phone at any price. So let's dive right in. All right, so starting out with the build, it is a glass build, and it feels pretty comfortable in the hand. It also feels pretty similar to the OnePlus 6. The changes to the build this time around, there's no headphone jack. That could be a bummer, especially because OnePlus really talked about how they were keeping the headphone jack. Now it's not here. I've heard that they said it's because they wanted to include the in-screen fingerprint sensor. More on that later. And it was just like a space issue. I've been on the no headphone jack game for like 2 years now, so it's not a major deal, but a lot of people, this is like their first phone from a phone that already had a headphone jack, so I feel you. You'll get used to it though, I feel like. Bluetooth all the way. You have the alert slider here, which is a nice little thing that OnePlus adds, and I feel like a lot of manufacturers don't have it. I like it. It's tactile, it's clicky. On the left side, you have your volume rockers. Right side, you have your power button. I love that setup. I don't like as much when they're on the same side, so I'm glad that it's like this. On the top, you have a microphone, and on the bottom, you have USB Type-C. Love USB Type-C. I'm glad it's here. And with that USB Type-C port, you're getting the fast charging by OnePlus again. It's called Dash Charge. And that's a really nice feature to have, especially because this phone does not have wireless charging. So while it is a glass phone, no wireless charging is present. Kind of a bummer just because it's such a convenience to have. But I feel like dash charging definitely makes up for it. And the battery life on here in general with a 3,700 milliamp hour battery is pretty exceptional. I'm getting a full day use with like 30% left at the end of the day, which is like unheard of on most smartphones in 2018. So it's one of the best battery life experiences. It's definitely helped by the fact that the screen is OLED and 1080p. And we're going to discuss that screen more later, but that definitely attributes to the amazing battery life. But it's really good, and that's definitely one of the biggest upgrades that OnePlus made from the 6. You're getting 3,700 milliamp hours versus the 3,300 from the OnePlus 6. So in a very similar form factor, more battery life. That's a nice thing to see. And then another major build difference is the in-screen fingerprint sensor. So on the screen, there's always like this little, like almost fingerprint, like icon where you just like put your finger and then the phone unlocks. And I wanted to discuss this because this is a very interesting move by OnePlus. So to achieve a bezel-less look, right, you have to move the fingerprint sensor. So you can either put it on the back or just get rid of it completely like what Apple does with the iPhone 10 series. But OnePlus decided, hey, we like the fingerprint sensor, we like those options, let's give it to them in a convenient spot on the front of the screen. So it's an in-screen fingerprint sensor. And it's pretty good. When I first set it up, it was working like maybe 3 or 4 out of 5 times, and I was a little bit disappointed, but I read online that if you just reset it up, you'll be good to go, and I did that, and now it's working like 90% of the time, so it's still not as accurate or as fast as like the gold standard of Touch ID or the fingerprint sensor that was on previous OnePlus devices, but it's pretty good, and it's kind of like, it's cool, right? Like, you put it on and you just are able to unlock the phone. If you hate the fingerprint sensor though, there is face unlock with the RGB camera. It's not the most secure thing for sure, but I like that there's so many options of getting into the phone. And one other note with the fingerprint sensor is it's very bright. So when it's at night and like you're opening up and there's like almost no light in the room, it's gonna be like, wow, like it's so bright. And it does that so it can like light up your finger, and I almost just fell back in my chair, but it does that so it can light up your finger, and when it's like pitch black, it's definitely a bit jarring. I would love to see like maybe a more subtle animation. That's like a small nitpick, but I definitely noticed it, and I know other people have noticed that as well. Overall though, build on here is pretty solid, and the screen got an upgrade. It's 6.41 inches now, which means that there's more of it, and it's still a really good form factor. This still fits in my pockets, still feels pretty one-handable. I can't reach all the corners without a second hand, but for the most part, it's pretty good. And one other thing that I want to mention with the screen is it's really bright, and it's a gorgeous panel. It's only 1080p again, but it's a really good 1080p panel. The colors, off-axis viewing is pretty good. Everything on here is pretty good, and I love the teardrop notch. It's a much more subtle notch, and I just think it looks infinitely better than other notches that are significantly bigger, and they were still able to include a speaker and the camera. It just looks really good. It's a little like rounded almost, but that really doesn't bother me. It kind of just touches whatever you're doing on the screen, but it's subtle and it's good. I'm actually pretty happy with it. Also, the chin on the bottom got a little smaller from the OnePlus 6. All these subtle things just make this a much better buy. In terms of performance, that's another major selling point on this phone. It's running Oxygen OS, which means that it's a really, really stock version of Android with all the awesome things that you love about Oxygen OS added. So tons of customizability out of the box, guaranteed updates for 2 years, which is kind of nice. It's obviously beat out by Google, which is 3 years, but I still think that from a third-party manufacturer, some of the best in the market. I love the gesture control in here. I love the overall just version of Android, and it's really, really fast as well. With a Snapdragon 845 chip and 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, this phone flies, and the RAM management is really good. So it's really smart. It will say, hey, you use this app a lot. Let's keep this one always like loaded. And because it has a very large amount of RAM, it's able to do that. So it's just a really fast phone, and it's a really great performing phone. So while other flagships like the S9 or the G7 could be similar prices now with certain deals, this one still has its advantages because of the stock Android. Where those phones do have this phone beat though is camera performance. By no means is it bad on here, but it's not excellent. So they introduced some new features with it. So you now have like a night mode, which I feel like every manufacturer is doing now. And that definitely helps in low light performance. It will make the image a little bit brighter. And dynamic range on here is also pretty good. I never get shocked by a photo taken on this phone in a good way. Like I never take one and think, wow, that's an amazing photo. I think that's a pretty good photo, and for the price tag of this, it's pretty good. But I'm never like wowed by it, if that makes sense. Color reproduction is pretty good. Saturation is pretty good. The phone does tend to overexpose, but so do a lot of other phones. Video quality definitely saturates a ton. It's a pretty similar camera to the OnePlus 6, but searching for focus and stuff has definitely been improved. Overall, it's a pretty good camera, and I don't think that it's a reason not to buy the phone like it is with many mid-range phones. It's pretty good. So overall, the phone, what do I think? Do I think it's a good purchase? Yeah, 100% yes. And I think it's a really, really good move on OnePlus's part that it's now available on T-Mobile. This phone used to be the phone for people that already knew about the brand. It was kind of hard to buy this phone if you didn't hear about it from another source. But now I could feel like the general consumer will stroll into T-Mobile and see this and get wowed by the in-screen fingerprint sensor and the cheap price tag and be all in. It's a really comfortable phone in the hand. It comes with a lot of extras in the box, like a fast charger and a case, which is really nice. And it feels like a nice slab in your pocket. Small things that it has is like the little S design, which shows like attention to detail, USB Type-C, which is really nice, and a great battery life. So I would definitely recommend this phone to you. I recommended the OnePlus 6 also, and this just improved on that in almost every single aspect. So I'm excited that phones like this are showing $1,000 phones. You do not need to be $1,000. It's impressive. I'm excited for it. If you want to check out the OnePlus 6T, I'll link it in the description down below. Thank you guys all so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe right here. Check out my other content right here. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.